I want to talk about the fact that just about everybody that's dealing with complex trauma at some point realizes that they have mommy or daddy issues. That somewhere along the line, they realize that they have this wound, deep wound from mom or dad or both. And it's just, to me, a reality for everybody with complex trauma. And that part of recovery really becomes dealing with the mommy and daddy issues and seeing what they are, healing those wounds. And it's often a very painful part of the recovery journey, but a very important part. And I think part of the parenting process is realizing as a parent, even if you're a good parent, that your children will be wounded by you and you're going to have to help them navigate that. And so part of reparenting is helping myself navigate through all of my mommy and daddy issues. And that's what this is about. It's really important, I think, to start by realizing the influence that moms and dads have. Children, when they come into the world, their main connection to survive is with mom and dad. And that therefore gives mom and dad a tremendous amount of influence and power in that infant's life. It's interesting to me that 50 years ago, that wasn't really seen as a big issue. Mom and dad were mom was there to cook the meals and nurture the kids a bit. Dad was there to be the breadwinner. Dad was there to often enforce the discipline. Dad was away often with his job and wasn't super involved in the child's life, but that wasn't really seen as a big deal. He was just the provider. And so people didn't really see the power of the influence that the parents have and their need to connect with the child, to meet the needs of the child. That wasn't really seen. Dad was more about providing for the physical needs, mom some of the emotional needs. But what the research has shown is that no, we got it wrong. Mom and dad are the most influential people in a child's life. Nothing influences a child more than those formative years in their relationship with mom and dad. And if mom and dad are absent, profound effect. Neglectful, major effect. Abusive, profound effect. And so I want to look at some of that today with us. So just to begin, just the general overview of kind of the parent's influence on a child. So if a child's needs aren't met by mom and dad, so mom and dad might just meet the physical needs but not the emotional, that the child then adapts and they develop maladaptations which later affect them in life. If mom and dad aren't healthy, and they're living by a set of lies, or they're living by unhealthy relationship dynamics, that forms the child and has a profound effect on how they then enter into adult life, the lies they believe, the relationship dynamics they live by. If mom and dad aren't healthy and don't try to get healthy, the child learns to live with that kind of person, and it creates relationship templates for the child that normal is unhealthy. And as they go into adult life, they then are attracted to unhealthy people. That's their natural default setting. And if mom and dad are unhealthy, they role model how to respond to thousands of different situations, and the child just picks up how to respond, a toolbox from mom and dad. But if it's not healthy, that has a profound effect on them because mom and dad are their major role models that they are learning from. What I want you really to see is all of the 87 characteristics of complex trauma that we just did a series about. Most of those 87 characteristics are due to mom and dad's effect on the child. They can have other causes as well, but the main cause is typically mom and dad issues. So nothing affects the development of a child more than mom and dad. That's what I want you to see. And so if mom and dad are absent, neglectful, or abusive, it has a profound effect. So some of you, as I go through the statistics and this information, are going to find this hard to hear. Some of you, it's going to validate what you know deep down, and that's going to be very depressing. Some of you might get angry at me and think I'm just trying to blame parents. And no, I'm not trying to blame parents. Your parents might have done the best they could based on the knowledge they had. But what I want you to understand is how it influenced you. They might have set off some wounds and caused some problems in you, but you're the only one now that can solve it. So I'm not blaming to say, oh, too bad, I can't do anything about it, it's all their fault. Well, they may have some fault, but you are now responsible to make the changes. Some of you are going to be resistant to what I say because you're afraid that to own that your parents failed you or hurt you is saying they were terrible. It's demonizing them. And it's kind of the danger of that all or nothing thinking. They're either perfect or they're terrible. No, every parent has flaws. I'm just looking at it, wanting to look at it honestly. But others of you, this is going to make you nervous because you're going to be kind of breaking the rules and exposing some family secrets. It's going to feel like you're being disloyal to your parents, that you're not respecting your parents. I have great respect for my parents, but I see their flaws and I talk to them about their flaws. So it's not being disloyal. That's just part of how you were conditioned to think. That isn't actually accurate. So I'm really hoping that you'll be able to just hear what I say without going into some type of judgment that this is designed to put somebody down. This is designed to just understand accurately the power of a parent's influence and how their life affected you so that you can heal, so that you can change, so that you can understand. So let me get into some of the research. So over 30 years ago, I first came across research that really was around studies being done on two areas. One was the effect of alcoholic parents on children, and two, the effect of absent fathers. And what was growing was, okay, these people are really, the children once they grow up, are really struggling in life. So those with absent fathers, they were seeing, wow, they're higher tendency for crime, to get into jail, etc. Those with alcoholic parents, those higher tendency to end up in addiction. And so it was like, for the first time, it was really beginning to come onto the radar that the parents have a profound effect on their children. That wasn't seen so clearly before, but I began the research that saw it. Then in the 1990s, I was at a conference and there was a black leader there from Dallas, Texas, and he was working with black men who were coming out of prison. And they were trying to understand, why are so many black men in prison? And there's all kinds of different reasons, but what they were really focusing on as a key core reason is that almost all of the black men in prison grew up without a father. They had mom, but dad was absent. And that was really kind of directing the research into what is the effect that a father has on a child. Can a father just be away working all the time? Can a father be absent? Is that old mindset? It's just really, they just need mom to be the nurturer. They don't really need dad. That seemed to was being challenged. And so that was my very initial. And then in the 2000s, I began to come across more and more research being done around fathers. Now, what I want to say as I go into this research is the focus at that point was absent fathers. But I think the statistics would apply almost equally to absent mothers. That doesn't happen as often, but it does happen. And so I'm going to give you the research around absent fathers. But if you had an absent mother, I think you're going to find that, wow, that kind of describes me as well. So the sources, you can see them on the slides, but I'll just go through the research. So 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. That's 5 times the normal average. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are for fatherless homes. That's 32 times the average. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders, who get diagnosed with behavior disorders, come from fatherless homes, 20 times the average. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes, 9 times the average. 75% of youth in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes, 10 times the average. 70% of youth in state-operated institutions come from fatherless homes, 9 times the average. 85% of all youth in prison come from fatherless homes, 20 times the average. 80% of rapists with anger problems come from fatherless homes, 14 times the average. 71% of pregnant teenagers lack a father. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 85% of children who exhibit behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. 90% of adolescent repeat arsonists live only with their mother. 90% of homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. Daughters of single fathers without a father involved are 53% likely to marry as teenagers, 711% more likely to have children as teenagers, 164% more likely to have premarital birth, and 92% more likely to get divorced themselves. Whereas adolescent girls raised in 2-parent homes with involved fathers are significantly less likely to be sexually active than girls without involved fathers. Children with involved fathers are 40% less likely to repeat a grade in school, 70% less likely to drop out of school, more likely to get A's in school, and more likely to enjoy school and engage in extracurricular activities. Sadly, 43% of U.S. children live without their father. So those statistics to me are just sad. They just kind of make my stomach drop and feel yucky. But it points to the power of the parent's influence on a young child's development. And that's what I want to talk about. And many of you have experienced that. And that is a deep, deep wound. And so I'm talking about it so you can understand it, so you can look at it honestly, see it accurately, so that you can heal. I'm not doing this to beat people up. I'm not doing this to try to blame anybody. This is all so that you can heal and learn what you need to do to grow and change. But I also want to add a little bit about parents who have wounded their children, who have been absent. I'm not doing this to try to shame you, to try to punish you. I'm doing this so that you can see the power of influence that you have and still have, so that you will understand and own your stuff to your children, so that you can hopefully grow and change and then repair the damage with your children. And what I have found is if parents are willing to do that, there's always hope that they can repair the damage and help their own children.